If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 434 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. The build-up continues for the 2025 Breeders' Cup as we are filming here live on Wednesday night, and just happened today, about this afternoon, early this afternoon. The pre-entries are out for all 14 Breeders' Cup races, and we are here tonight for a little less than an hour to talk about every single race. This is not a handicapping show. We are here to talk about the pre-entries, any surprises, any interesting tidbits, and which horses are cross-entered and which races, etc. It is very exciting as now we can get a fuller picture of who is going to be in these amazing races at Del Mar Racecourse. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, notification bell on the top right, and smash that like button below the video player. We're going to have a lot of people watching tonight. We want to hear a lot of comments in the chat, and I've got a great group of people that are going to help me talk about the pre-entries. So without further ado, we've got a lot of things to announce, like our tip sheet and other things. We want to get right to it right now. So let me bring on the plethora of co-hosts that are joining you. First, co-host of Picks and Ponies, Mr. Paul Halloran. Co-host of Picks and Ponies, Pete Visco. And my two other hosts of my other shows, host of Bet and Boozin', now hailing in Florida, Mr. Kyle Roscoe, and from UK, go Cats, host of Pacific Horse Players, Noah Maher. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
This is top tier panel right here. That's all I know.
Doesn't get any better, right, Kyle?
Never any better than this. I mean, it's Breeders' Cup. What's better than
Absolutely. Kyle, don't be offended. We're going to put the old guys at the top to be consistent. There you go. Noah, how you doing? I was just talking to Paul and Kyle for the show. There are a lot of exciting days on the racing calendar. This day and the post-draw for the Breeders' Cup are two of my most favorite days without actual races that I'm watching and betting on.
Yeah, no, it's a great day. You know, you use the last couple of months and you're watching races and stuff, trying to put these fields together. And then, you know, today they were doing the show and you get to find out a little bit more about who will go where. You got some horses that I know we were hoping to maybe see in some races. Obviously, first preferences, second preferences. We'll talk about that. But just to have a decent idea of who we're going to see on Friday and Saturday is always a good day.
Absolutely. Pete, great to have you back in town. I'm sure you got a little catching up to do from a horse racing standpoint. Hundreds of horses entered today, Pete. 58 international horses, gentlemen. Last year, there was actually a record 80. Before that, the record was 60. So I would say this year is more of an average year, Pete. Last year was an anomaly with 80 entered. There are 58 international entries and horses entered this year. Most will get in, some will not. Pete, thanks for joining the show. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, it's always good to see the international contingent, the Euro trash, as we like to call it on this show. But
not we. You're the only one. You're the only one, Pete. Don't group us into that.
We like to call it on this show. No, it's always good. I mean, it's good that we get the entries and we get the PPs a little early because most people haven't seen a lot of those horses. So now you get to look at them and watch some videos on YouTube or wherever you watch videos. So it's good to get it early. We got to get a nice contingent coming in. Some of the big names didn't come, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think most of the big names are here, at least the ones we expected to see, Pete.
Yeah,
Tom Espinoza
standpoint, yeah.
Tom Espinoza saying hello from California. Jim Plars wants to make sure Noah got his schoolwork done. We will not put him on the spot. I mean, what are you talking about? Of course, Noah finished it right when he got home from classes, like before dinner. Like
when he got home from Keeneland.
Back in the day, right? Well, yeah, Kyle, you wouldn't know. Kyle, you wouldn't know in high school. No. I'm sorry, what was that, Paul? I missed it.
I said he did it right when he got home from Keeneland.
Yeah, Paul's got it.
That's exactly right. We'd ask Kyle about his study. No, let's just skip that and move on.
Long time ago now, man.
Very long time ago. Kyle, your thoughts in general, and then we'll get to the fields when you were watching today.
I mean, Pete hit it on the head. You know, all the big names that we expected to come through did. Obviously, it's pre-entries. We'll see what comes through by post-position draw. But, yeah, I mean, Howard knows what's up, man. And like I said, pre-entries is always an exciting time because, again, you'll get to see a ton of different horses. There's a bunch cross-entered, so hopefully we can shed a little bit of light on that today. But it's the most exciting time of the year if you're a horse player.
So for the record, because I do have school administrators in my work that actually know that I have a podcast, that was during my free period, everyone. Okay. I was watching and actually they were a little late. If you were watching, they're actually late in getting the pre-entries out. So I actually couldn't watch a lot of it. I had to do my job, which is most important. Anyway, guys, let's get into it. We've got 14 races. We're gonna go through this very quickly. If any of you have a little comment you'd like to say and I don't get to it, just put up your hand or just interrupt or whatever. But again, there's 5 of us. There's 14 races. We can't talk very deeply about all these races. I just want to give some general stats. And if you guys have something that really stands out, please feel free, and I'll do my best to rotate it around. The first race that that's not a good start. Hold on a second. I guess I got to bring it up on the screen would be helpful. Here we go. The first Breeders' Cup race of the day, which I'm going to bring up right now on the screen, if I can do it. There we go. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, guys. There were 22. 22 horses entered. I should say this with all of us on screen. The maximum number of horses you can have in the turf sprints are 12. The maximum horse you can have at any other Breeders' Cup race other than the turf sprints are 14. So the maximum fields will be 12 and 14. Maximum field of 12, 22 entered. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Sprint. I'm going to count about 5 Euros that are going to end up being in this race. I guess the name that stood out to me a little bit was Schwarzenegger, Pete. That is one of the more, I guess, famous horses of this group, mainly because of the name, but he is very fast.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when they jump out, it's the ones that we've seen, the local ones. And yeah, he's a fast horse. People have been, people were waiting for him to run and he ran and he sort of backed up what we were expecting. So hopefully it's good to see, it's good to see the local horse is going to be big time. I assume he'll take a bunch of money too. We'll get to that when we actually start talking about the races down the road. But yeah, it's a big field though. I mean, a bunch of horses. It's a tough one. I mean, the juvenile turf sprint, I think, is always a tough race. At least I know for me, that's one of the tougher ones to look at.
Noah, is this a race that you are interested in betting in? And before you answer that question, I will bring this up as well. Guys, I'm going to do a lot of clicking, everyone at home, so bear with me. David Aragon has updated the odds on DRF. He's got True Love, the Aidan O'Brien horse, Noah, right now at 7-2. Noah, correct if I'm wrong. I think this is a race. Are you covering this race for our Power Picks?
I believe I am.
Okay. Any quick thoughts when you saw the pre-entries?
This is a pretty tough race. I'm with Pete here. I think you have to start the conversation with the wards. I know Schwarzenegger's entered for this race, but outfielder is first preference for the juvenile turf,
yes.
Which I was a little surprised by because he tried the dirt at Keeneland last time and won. But I think when you're looking at this race, you got to start the conversation there. Lenaloo one is I could see myself betting day of Philly up against some of the boys. But either way, I think it's a pretty stacked group for some 2-year-olds.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit of early speed, Paul, as always. These Euros have done better in these races of late, Paul. So you absolutely have to look at them carefully. Although a lot of them not going around a bend, so that's something that's a little bit tricky, right, Paul?
It is tricky, and you might argue that it's trickier at Del Mar, where the bends are a little more pronounced than you would say a Belmont Park, or at least the old Belmont Park. I don't know. If I liked a horse strongly, though, that would not be a reason I wouldn't play a horse. I'm going to assume that they trained. They at some point they're training going left. All right.
Yes, I agree. Actually, that was not Jim Pilar's in the background, but hey, Jim, whoever this is, Jim, shout out to you. Congratulations, man. Thanks for your service for 20 years. 5th grade's actually a great age. If I wasn't teaching high school, Jim, I'd actually love to teach 4th and 5th graders, just as a side note. I want no piece of middle school kids at all. Sorry, Pete Visco.
Hey, who's
got a son? Well, we love Jackson, but he's not your normal middle school kid.
He's the only good one. Yeah, he's the only
good one. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get on to the next race. The next race we are going to discuss here is the juvenile fillies, and this is actually race 7 on Friday. Guys, there's 9 on this page, but La Vie Lumiere is actually first preference to the turf. This is a very small field of 8, but you know what? A confusing field, Kyle Roscoe. I believe Explora is the favorite. She was the favorite. We'll take a look at that in a minute as I go ahead and bring us on. Actually, I'll just go ahead and full screen here. Thoughts when you saw the juvenile fillies field?
I mean, you exactly hit it. It's only a field of 8, but it's a very interesting field of 8. Both Bafferts right now, it's what, Battle of Rouge and Explora, I believe. When I looked at the anti-post, they were both sitting at 7-2, so that should give you exactly the thought. Obviously, you'll see the Aragona has the morning line of 5-2 on Explorer versus Battle of Rouge, which I think is more likely what it will be on the day. But Antipost has them both at 3.5 to 1. And again, if that doesn't tell you how confusing this race is to people, it's definitely going to be tough. I would be, again, like leaning Explorer, but again, she's not much better at all than a lot of these others in here.
Noah, this race has thrown some bombs out there in the years. Now, when you 8-horse field, there's only so much big a price you're going to have. But if you just scan, like if you're sort of an amateur handicapper and you just scanning the PPs, I mean, every horse is pretty much between like 70s to low 80s. No one really stands out at all. This is a very tough betting race.
It is, and it seems like even the shorter prices, you could poke some major holes in. Explora, she was favored 2 back in the Del Mar Debutante and probably should not have lost that race. Now her last one was a little bit better. She cleaned things up and kind of asserted herself at the top of the division. But I'm kind of with Kyle. If it's not Explorer, I think you could go very, very, very deep in a race like this.
Isn't the beauty of the Breeders' Cup that you just get really, really good horses that are going to be prices just because somebody has to be a price in these races. Yeah. So that's why we love it so much, because you can get really good value on high quality horses, especially the young ones, because you don't really know who's going to jump up, and some of them just jump up on this day and pay a price, and it's fantastic. Yeah, Coach Jimmy, I'm sort of
you
with
and
you
I
there.
both. You and I both, Coach Jimmy.
Me too. Not us. Not together, Paul. I don't know.
Hey, Pete, why don't you read it for people that are going to be listening and they don't see it on the screen?
Yeah, Coach Jimmy J says, love Iron Orchard here. I sort of like that lean a little bit as well.
And see, Pete, on the anti-post right now, I mean, the Explorer, like I said, 5-2 on the morning line. Iron Orchard's 10-1. So is Explorer 4 times better than Iron Orchard? And that's the beauty of it.
That's beautiful.
No, definitely not. We got Trav Daddy. What's up, Trav? I love we a lot of new people in the chat. Trav Daddy 11. Sorry, Trav Daddy 10 is apparently doing something else right now. Trav Daddy 11. Taking the faster workouts is ideal in these even races. Noah, you're sort of a West Coast guy on the screen. How much credence should we give to workouts, especially local ones in California?
I try not to pay too much attention. Our good buddy Matt Miller was commenting. I can't remember if it was our show last night, but he was saying to put some stock in the workouts, but don't use that over things that you normally would when you're handicapping races like this. Now, I will say they do have great coverage, and I think it starts here pretty soon. It might start on Friday, if I'm not correct about that. Maybe somebody can help me out.
Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup, I think it goes, Friday. I think it's 9 a.m. Eastern, I believe it starts.
And they give great info, which obviously you'd like, if you got horses you're interested in, you'd like to hear them working well. But I wouldn't put too much stock into it where there'd be a case where I would kind of use or not use a horse in a certain scenario. Guys,
over under on how many times we see Ryan Anderson in the background of Breakfast at the Breeders' Cup standing on the rail with a coffee? No, I don't know what he'd be drinking, but
yeah, I have to imagine it'd be a coffee. I'd probably set the line at 4.5.
We know that dude's a big camera whore. He's going to be somewhere in the background. Accidentally, of course, right? Accidentally, Kyle, is how that's going to work.
No matter what, always over.
All right. Guys, this is not in order. I'm actually going in order from the show that was on TVG. So shout out to TVG for what you're seeing on the screen. Let's go now to the juvenile. And this has a serious horse in Ted Noffy's. One of the shortest prices on the day. This is a field of 9, again, relatively small, to be honest. So those outside posts might not be that big a deal here. Pete, sorry, let's go to Paul here. Paul, Ted Noffey, you and I know are big fans of this horse. He's been awesome, but you know what? The West Coast horses are very good and have the home field advantage in this case for sure.
That's true, but I wasn't necessarily. I saw this horse's maiden win at Saratoga. I wasn't necessarily a believer, but I think he was. I just have always thought he's going to get better the longer they go. The fact that he's been around 2 turns, he's been a mile and a 16. It's a question for others. You know, I know there are people in the chat who would warn me against going too heavy on a single in one of the juvenile races in this particular event, but I think this horse is a stone cold single.
Wow. Okay, well, we weren't really going to be handicapping tonight, but there you go, folks. No reason to look at anyone else from Paul Halloran. Pete, do you feel that strongly as well, or just general thoughts of this race? There are some interesting Baffert runners, of course. Baffert, by the way, let me go full screen to not distract people. Baffert has won 3 of the last 8 California juvenile Breeders' Cup races, not juvenile fillies, but boys. 3 of the last 8. He's not going to be the favorite here, Pete. I'll go back to the PPs again. We're just doing this very briefly for right now. He's got Brandt, who is really fast. I guess the only question is, can he get 2 turns? And he also has, I'm sorry, is that all he's got? Why do I think he's got Desert Gate? Well, actually, I prefer more, but we'll talk about that next week.
Well, it's interesting too, because Brandt's the only one, if I remember correctly, who hasn't gone 2 turns in the race yet. So that's always an interesting thing, especially for a horse that's going to take a bunch of money. I assume I didn't look at the odds for that one. I assume is second choice most likely. And I guess the other thing is all 3 races, and we don't have to show it or anything, but all 3 races from a time form standpoint have shown fast paces. So that's one thing that's going to be different for these, because some of these horses are just better than the fields that they face, and they can sort of either get on the lead or sit just off, and they're just better than the horse that either they're chasing or the horses they're in front of. Whereas here, it could be a little bit more competition up front. So that's always an interesting thing to look at with the younger horses, especially.
Just to let everyone know, next Tuesday night is our big preview for the Friday card, and next Wednesday night is our preview for the Saturday card. Kyle, my thought here is a lot of people are going to try to beat or try to get cheeky with Ted Noffey. There are reasons to go against him here. I have a few. I'll just throw out one. These good horses obviously can create their own trips. He's been sitting outside in perfect trips every time. If he draws like the 1 or 2 hole and it's got to take some dirt, and they go like 22-4 and like 45-4, obviously he can win, but that's going to be a whole new situation for him.
Correct. And that's the thing, right? Is it's nice that he has that 2-turn experience, but he's really had just super nice trips every single time. But again, to someone like Ted Noffey, these 2-year-olds, he could just be way better than a lot of these. And obviously I know my man at the top right definitely thinks that is the case. And if it is, I could see him winning by 3, and I could see him having a ton of trouble and, finishing a beaten third. And it's just one of the 2 things. And it's kind of the thing of, are you willing to trust that at, even money or 6-5?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We've seen some big favorites lose in this race. And by the way, one of the best horses of recent memory to me that actually got a great trip but lost, one of the best juveniles we've seen was Not This Time, who finished a very close second in one of the best juveniles in the last 10 years. You've not seen that juvenile race. I think it was actually out in California, now that I think about it. It was tremendous. But anyway, it's going to be a fun race, guys. Let's go on to the next race we're going to discuss, and that is the Juvenile Fillies Turf. This is actually race 8. It's before the Juvenile. This has 16 entered, guys. You see on the screen, there's 2 horses that are not on the screen. That would be the ones that would get in if there are some scratches. Half this field is most likely going to be Euros here. This is a race that I'm going to be covering on our Breeders' Cup Power Pick tip sheet, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Noah, you got to do some real deep diving here in this race, but there is one horse that's in the middle of the screen there, Precise for Aiden, that could be a superstar.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to do a ton of research to hear from the crowd that Precise is a pretty good one. And Aiden O'Brien brought a similar filly last year in Lake Victoria, who pretty much blew the doors off that field. Now I will say people have been kind of comparing one to the other. I will say that I don't think Precise has to beat nearly the field that Lake Victoria had to. So maybe she doesn't necessarily have to be as good as Lake Victoria was. But I think if you're approaching the race, that's kind of where you have to start the conversation in here.
Yeah, one of the first horses that I watched, Paul, on replay, and I have a lot of work to do this weekend, although I've been doing some work already, obviously. She looks pretty darn good to me. My only concern with Precise, I'm not really handicapping, but we can talk about this horse for a second. She hasn't gone left-handed, but we've talked to Aiden O'Brien before. And by the way, we hope to have Aiden O'Brien on Friday, not live, but hopefully myself and Paul will be interviewing Aiden O'Brien. If we do that, that'll be the third year in a row we've had the pleasure and honor to speak to Mr. O'Brien. If we do have that interview, ladies and gentlemen, it will be up on YouTube on Friday afternoon. I'm not concerned about Aiden O'Brien horses who have not gone around a bend in a certain way, Paul, because they know how to train for these races. They take them to different tracks. They've got, Ballydoyle's an incredible place, and it's not a concern for me, at least with his horses.
Yeah, I agree. I have no concerns when it comes to Mr. O'Brien and bringing us over. And Noah brings up a good point. I mean, I thought Lake Victoria was perhaps the most dominant horse of the 2 days, and this one may or may not be as good. But to Noah's point, the field may not be either. So, I'm looking at a lot of chalk on Friday as I'm looking at this sequence. So I might just be playing a $50 pick three and be done with it.
I mean, it might end up being that way, Kyle. We'll see. There is one American horse we should just mention. Again, not full dive handicapping. As we see, Aragona's got Precise at 7-5. I actually think she's less than that overseas. That shouldn't be a surprise, Kyle, because they're going to favor their horses more. But Time to Dream, by the way, True Love is not going to be in this race. Most likely, she's going to be in the sprint. Time to Dream is a very popular horse for Pletcher that we saw run at Keeneland. Didn't have the best trip, but it wasn't a bad trip. My issue with her is she's very talented, but it's a big field. Del Mar is not exactly a place you want to be closing deep from. And this is only a mile. If it was a mile and eighth, I'd like her a lot more, to be honest.
Yeah, and you hit on exactly what I want to do. It's kind of the thing of, is she talented? Yes, but is she going to be closing on it from the clouds on a track that's not necessarily the most favorable to do that type of trip on? Absolutely. And the fact that, if Precise really is just Lake Victoria 2.0, do you really want to get into a closing match with a horse that's coming overseas with Aiden O'Brien? I could easily see her, trying to run with her and end up finishing third. But yeah, that's kind of my thing, is that if they're both closing, even at a much shorter price, I'd much rather have Precise than Time to Dream. But yeah, you brought up the horse that I was going to bring up too. It's always
I
good
have to let you talk
Kelsey.
about ground support. It is not unfortunately a horse for Crownsway, as we all had the pleasure of watching a Crownsway horse 2 years ago in Shards. But this is NBS Kelsey and Beshizzle my nizzle, as you like to call this horse. Ground support is pretty talented.
Yeah, and obviously not many people saw that, if anyone, on the first time out at Kentucky Downs, winning at, I don't know, approximately 5 million to 1, something like that.
100.6.
Yeah, 100.6. And then came back in the Miss Grillo, and another time I did not have this horse on top of, as usual, but wins at 12-1 and wins very well. And this is one of those, Howard, that there's not a whole lot of speed in here. There's a decent amount just based on looking through the form today. If she gets away at least a little bit, she can easily finish in the money, especially at a place like Del Mar. So obviously for, the hometown crowd, one for the home team, that would be really cool for Kelsey and NBS, of course.
I think in general, to sum this up, Pete, and this is important, Marco says it well. In general, and guys, feel free to push back as we are about to go on to the juvenile here, the juvenile turf. But actually, let me do the juvenile turf first. Sorry, and then I'll get to what I wanted to say. Let's go to the boys, guys. Juvenile turf, another very good Aiden O'Brien horse in Shot, who I bet actually and won on Ascot at Ascot, and we had a live show. Stott won. Aiden's also got Brussels, but Brussels most likely going to the turf sprint. I thought he had one more. Maybe that's on the A list. We see Ray Handel's got a horse, by the way. Good for him. And here's Johnny. Had to explain that one to our good young friend Noah Maher there at the bottom, what that was about.
What?
But, well, or maybe it might have been one of his roommates. I can't remember who I talked to about what that was about. I shouldn't throw Noah under the bus.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, sorry about that, Noah. I think it was one of your roommates didn't know what that was about. Anyway, guys, when I looked at this field, Paul, the one name that really stuck out to me, because I had a pretty good idea who was going, is Outfielder. Outfielder is very fast, stretching out for Wesley. If you're worried about a race that might not have a lot of speed, you can forget about that because Outfielder is going, my friend.
Yeah, and I think he entered this weekend, didn't he?
Yes. I'm assuming they're in a scratch, I would assume.
You would think, right? Yeah. This horse is fast. He's going to have to stretch out to a mile. It's going to have to stretch out to 2 turns. That was a conditioned allowance race last time. Non-winners of 2 lifetime.
Yep.
He's fast, but and I know it's not a handicapping show, so I'll just shut up. But I think him stretching it out in this field is very much in question.
Well, I think dumbasses like me and Noah actually tried to beat Outfielder with the horse that finished second. Noah, again, feel free to tell me I'm wrong. I think we both like Oscar's Hope when we were there, but the Oscar's Hope could not hold off Outfielder, who did rate a little bit, actually, Noah, in that race. So, they taught him something, clearly.
Yeah, he did. And, I have to imagine them trying the dirt was just to get him ready for a race like this on Breeders' Cup weekend. Now, I have to assume that he's going to be forwardly placed. This is a race I need to do some more homework on because it seems a little bit like I'm probably going to default to the Euros here just because I wasn't super impressed with the U.S. contingent, as we've kind of seen some similar comments so far. But I have to find out more about Aiden's Army and some of these other horses that are coming up from Europe to really give you a concise info.
Peach Stott's gonna be the favorite, but it's got a little second-itis, but he's doing it in Group 1s, man. So it's like you got to take that with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah, they're pretty good. And then you look at the time form numbers are pretty good. I mean, if you're going to use something just to have a quick reference point, the time form numbers are good. Yeah, when you're finishing second in Group 1s consistently, that probably means you're pretty good. But yeah, you never know, though, that is something that could be a little contagious, so to say, is the second-itis. So you never know. Maybe that's one where you can catch that. Because that horse, I think, is going to take a bunch of money and just looks pretty strong on paper.
And one thing that I want to say, too, is people are going to try and beat Gstaad, right? And the most likely horse they're going to try and beat him with is Wild Desert, which is the Appleby that's listed on there. And he ran in the summer, came from the absolute clouds. However, he's I think he's 5-1 on the anti-post right now. And Gstaad's like 6-5 or something, or 5-4 actually. He's 5-1. However, Appleby obviously it's Charlie Appleby. He can do no wrong sometimes, but he hasn't won a 2-year-old race in the States since the 2022 Breeders' Cup, and that's when Mischief Magic won the juvenile turf sprint, and obviously he also had Silver Knot, who finished second. But every single 2-year-old he's brought over since then hasn't been a winner. Granted, he had a second place with Wild Desert earlier this year, so take it for a grain of salt. But obviously, it's kind of just beat Gstaad at your own peril. But again, with that second-itis, they call it the Kyle syndrome, Kyle Keeneland syndrome. It could be one to play against, especially at anti-post at 5-4.
By the way, Wild Desert, it says scratched on the. I'm looking at one of the DRF. Yeah, I'm looking at. I just noticed it because I was looking at that horse earlier. I'm on the DRF players, the Breeders' Cup Players Guide, and it has the odds, and it says Wild Desert out. So I didn't know that. I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Take everything I just said and throw it out.
Well, it's funny because when I was looking through them just now, I was like, yeah, I kind of like Wild Desert. And I looked at this and I'm like, well, shoot, where the hell is he?
He was. I have not. Oh, you know what? It says scratch now from David Aragona. Okay.
Yeah, that's weird.
I got to tell you. Now I'm going to sound really stupid. I actually liked him a lot in this race, Kyle. I was going to absolutely play him. I thought he got great experience in that Woodbine race. I actually thought he was very live. I'm actually pretty disappointed in that. Let me just summarize it for everyone. We're going to go on to Saturday's races. Again, just my opinion, but I've looked a lot of these races already. I think it's fair to say that Precise is probably the most likely winner of the sprint races on Friday. But I think the Americans are actually better in the fillies race. So although Precise is maybe the most likely winner, I think the better Americans are actually in the filly race and not the male race. That's just my opinion. So I don't know. We're gonna see, guys. It's always a lot of fun. I will say something about Stott. He's not like an explosive turn of foot kind of horse. He's a little more grindy. He's a little more one paced. Henri Matisse had a pretty good, nice turn of foot. We've seen Lake Victoria could do whatever the heck she wanted last year. Gestalt is like a more grindy, and I'm very interested to see how he handles Del Mar. I'm probably gonna be betting against him, guys, to be honest. But we got a lot to talk about. You guys got anything else you want to mention on Friday? Actually, there's one other thing I want to mention, and we'll get to it here. Paul and I are having a sportsgasm right now. Look at this, Paul. What do people see on the screen on the right side, Paul?
It sees expensive. It looks expensive.
What we're showing is the wagering menu. There's just a ridiculous amount of ways to play these races, or you can do what I think most of us would recommend is pick your spots.
Yeah, and I think I've seen this for the first time. They have a little all turf pick 3 starting at 245 in the juvenile turf plan. So I'm sure that's something that some of my bankroll will be going to on Friday.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. All right. Any other thoughts before I switch some screens? We get to Saturday. From anyone? Any other comments?
A few singles to Paul's point. You could have like 3 singles in that stretch if you really wanted to. I think that could be shaky. You got to catch a price, and probably the first leg maybe looks at least the one where you can maybe catch a good price.
For those people that are not familiar with podcasts or background, when I say that, these guys I think know that means someone talks and delay a little bit so I can get on to the next screen and whatnot. And
luckily, most of us never shut up, so that's not a problem usually.
Covered.
Pete handled that very well. Appreciate it. All right, guys, let's get on to Saturdays. I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen. First race on Saturday, filly and mare. Again, very quickly, guys. Filly and mare sprint on the dirt. Field of 12 here, most likely. Majestic Oops has first preference to the distaff. Copion, second preference to the sprint. She is going here almost for certain. Tamara, most likely not. Tamara also going here. She will not be facing the boys, most likely. There's one story here and one story only for the most part, especially if you ask a lot of the West Coast boys. So Noah, Copion, very tough here, most likely.
Yeah, she might be one of the horses I'm most looking forward to on Saturday. They even thought about running her in the sprint, which they might even do just to try to separate the Mandelas and the Spendthrift farms, because I believe they're both in the farm of Spendthrift. But boy, I kind of expect her to put on a show. I mean, I know the rest of the field is pretty rigorous in here, but I feel like she's been sitting on a big performance. Had a big run in the Hirsch way back in I believe that was August at Del Mar, and I think flirted with running her 2 turns in the distaff because that's a bit of a lesser division this year. But just from some of the workouts that I've seen in the morning, it just looks like all systems go. She's breathing fire and hoping to get a somewhat relatively decent price. Hopefully nothing with a 5 at the end.
Ton of pace too, Noah, in this race for her to run into.
She draws outside.
Yeah,
might be a little unhealthy wager.
Ooh. What's she going to be on the day, Noah?
I think 8 to 5. I think 8 to 5 is probably
okay.
Probably pretty accurate.
What is going to have her at? Let's see here. If one of you guys wants to have that
I think it was
on
2.
your screen, also, it's only so many screens I can.
I have it. It's 2 to 1. They have Kopi on it 2, Sweet Azteca 3. Oh. Yeah.
Ooh.
And overseas Antipost, they have her at 11 to 4.
Here, I'm going to.
I don't, obviously we know the American horse is better. I don't even want to know what Noah would do if this horse is 2 to 1 or 5 to 2 post time. College tuition
let alone,
on the line.
But
hey, Noah's only got another semester. It's really not that much, right, Noah? So, whatever.
I might have to hit up Davey if she's really 11 to 4 overseas.
According to
if you want a little contact info, I can help you with that.
Also, don't tell Jackson that. He might actually throw. I don't know what he'll do at 11.
That might blow up the entire tote board there. Thanks, Pete. I see what you put there.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll open for you, but that's at least a little more condensed and easier to read and scroll through.
I can try it.
Give it a click. What do you think, Noah, about
Yeah,
while you do that, it didn't work because because it's a part of the paid package,
right.
so it's only under my. No, what do you think about Tamara? I know we're not handicapping, but just because that's a weird horse who came back and we didn't know what we were going to get from her, and now she came back and looked pretty good in that last one.
Yeah, she looked good. I mean, do you really want to bet her, hoping that she's going to step up her game?
No, that's that's the concern, right?
Have to. I mean, do you want to really answer that question at 5-1? I know Aragona's got her at 5. There's some pretty decent horses in this race. I mean, it seems like it's pretty top heavy in terms of the West Coast. He's got Hope Road. I know she was out at Saratoga and won that race, but I have to imagine she's going to take some money. So in order for me to answer your question, Pete, I think I'd have to get somewhere close to double digits in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you, when she won the Del Mar debutante, I mean, people were talking Beholder. I mean, remember, she was the absolute bee's knees of the entire racing world, and then unfortunately threw in a dud in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and raced 1 year later, and then had to wait. And she's ouchy. I'd love to see her run well, just because I think she's super talented, but she's definitely got her issues. All right, let's get on to the next race, guys. You're gonna have to give me a second. That's the turf sprint. I'll tell you what. I'm not a fan of turf sprints. Neither is Kyle. I know how the rest of you guys feel on the show in general. But this race, what did I do here? This race, here we go, is absolutely loaded. And this is a really, really good race. Here it is on the screen. There are 18 entered. 18. There's some on the next page that might very well get in, like Puro Magic, who I believe is a Japanese horse, and Yellow Card, who's a California horse. But you see some of these names here, guys. I mean, wow. AG Bullet, Arizona Blaze is a really nice hero. Bear River, Bring the Band Home is super fast. Bucanero Fuerte is a very talented European runner. Governor Sam is a horse that I know that Paul has talked about in the show and has picked. Kadem just won at Keeneland. Motorius, Reef Runner, she's so spicy. Oh my goodness, Kyle, this is an absolute war.
Yeah, I'm glad he went to me first because.
Of course.
No, I'm just joking. Of course, this used to be the my division, and now I want absolutely nothing to do with it. But man, yeah, is this race? I think like Bring the Band Home was a horse that was talked about so much. Obviously, he ran not so good last time, but now that has put him at 25-1 in this race overseas. Obviously, people are going to bet overseas horses overseas, but I mean, she's so spicy, who arguably is just as, I mean, that's 12-1 on that horse. I mean, it's just, there's a whole lot of really, really nice contingents in here, headed by a horse I actually might place a bet on. Obviously, you'll have to see later. But I mean, right now, Motorius is the favorite at 4-1, according to this anti-post. You see 7-2 there. No matter what, if you like someone in here, you're going to get a good price.
For sure. And Pete Visco, I refuse to do what Ryan does, Ryan Anderson, who calls the horse on the screen Silver Bullet. Very, very inappropriate, very wrong. We get it. It's a chemistry thing. Okay, you're smarter than all of us.
A lot of people do that though. A lot of the other shows do that as well.
If they want to call it Silver Bullet, they call it Silver Bullet.
I agree. With
you. AG Bullet.
I agree. You might as well call it Coors Light at that point if you're going to do it that way.
So Pete, last night I should let Noah speak, but I'll let you just talk real quick here, Pete. Last night, great show. Check it out. They talked about Del Mar profiles. 5 furlongs, man. You can close and win, but I'll tell you what, if you're going to close like Motorius from relatively deep, you need a lot of luck and you have to be unbelievable in these big fields around a pretty tight bend at Del Mar. It is, and you got to save ground too, as I'm sure Noah would tell us.
Yeah, and you got Kadem and Motorius. That's a couple that are going to be coming from the clouds. I mean, there's obviously going to be a crap load of pace up front, so at least you got to hope it just falls apart if you like one of those other ones. But yeah, now you're taking the favorite is a horse that's going to have some luck a little bit or have a really, really good trip. And anytime you could do that and you can try and maybe take a favorite down just from a trip standpoint, that's a good thing. I mean, not that it's a big favorite in this race, but again, we have to blow these up somehow.
I know the Euros have done better lately. Last question, and I'll give it to Paul here. I know the Euros have done better lately, Paul, but my gut tells me an Americans win this race.
I think that's a safe supposition. I think AG Bullet's pretty good.
Oh, no doubt. Really good.
Yeah.
I guess the question with her is what's her best distance? I mean, I'll put it up on the screen here and then we'll go to Noah and move on. She's running a mile. She's gone 5.5, 6.5. Is 5 her best distance? She is 1 for 3 at Del Mar. She's only won 5 furlongs actually once, Paul, and she finished 3rd.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a factor.
Last year's Breeders' Cup Sprint. Sorry.
By the way, the funny thing is, Howard, when you look at if you bring up last year's chart, the top 4 came from way out of it pretty much. So that was the kind of race. That was the Cogburn race where Cogburn sort of got away, and that was a race where everyone closed, at least the top 4 closed. So that's the kind of trip you're hoping for if you have, say, Motorius or Cadem or AG Bullet actually closed last year as well.
No, what is AG Bullet's best distance? I'm not going to put the PPs back up, but what's your thought?
I don't know. That's a good question. I will say this is maybe I have a biased opinion, but I think this is a pretty bettable turf sprint. I mean, outside of the top 2, I think AG Bullet and Motorius are kind of not separated themselves from the other 2, but if one of those 2 win, I would not be very, very surprised. So I don't know how much I'm going to actually be betting this race on Saturday, but I will be betting one of those 2. And I think one of those 2 are very, very likely.
I have a strong suspicion I know which one you're going to be betting. Yeah. But we'll wait for that at a later time. Yeah, I think those are the 2 to beat. But I mean, it's just there's a lot of horses that can win, in my opinion. The good thing about doing what you plan on doing, Noah, or maybe going 2 deep in a turf pick 3 or whatever, is that you've got a speedster or at least AG Bullet can be 4 and you got a closer. I love that kind of combination in that situation.
Yeah, and when we were talking about Bring the Band Home, we were talking about this race last night because outside of She's So Spicy, there really wasn't a ton of pace presence in the race to begin with. So regardless of whether you like him or not or what price you're going to get, I think that could definitely speed things up at going 5 furlongs. Hope for some speed up front. You get closers like Motorius that get a little bit more of a favorable trip in a tricky race like that.
Totally agree. Real quick, I want to mention this very important. Bottom of the screen, we have a power pick tip sheet just for the Breeders' Cup. It is over 20 pages. That's right. You heard it correctly. Over 20 pages of information. And it's only $35 if you're a current standard Saturday power pick subscriber. If you're not, it's only $45. And I've seen, again, packages up to $75, $80, etc. How do you do that? What you need to do is go to our website. Go to our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. Actually, I was going to bring it up on the screen real quick. hhhracingpodcast.com. And at the top on the home page, there's a power pick tip sheet. And then you go to Breeders' Cup Power Picks, and it takes you to all the information. And Pete, what's great is there are some samples. So people are like, what are these guys talking about? I've never heard of this podcast. Do they really know what they're saying? What's this tip sheet about? It's all right there, Pete, for full view for everyone.
Yeah, that we like to do that so people know what they're getting into and they sort of could see. And it's going to basically be the exact same. At least the layout, the content is all going to be the same as that last one. So that'll give you a sense. So once you look at that, you see all the winners we had last year, then you'll obviously want to buy
Absolutely.
it.
Just ask Ryan Anderson. He's mentioned that he had Starlust about 8 times.
He did. I hadn't heard that yet. I hadn't heard him say that yet.
But hey, I tip my cap because that was an unbelievable pick. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on, guys. Breeders' Cup Sprint. Real nice race. There are a few cross-entered here. The big name to me is Ben Tornado. I personally am a big fan of his, Kyle. I think he's going to be tough if he runs his race.
I couldn't agree with you more. Obviously not a handicapping show, but the whole race does run through Ben Tornado. And like I said, there's not a whole lot of really big names in here to try and take that crown from him. Obviously a straight no chaser who won last year in the Breeders' Cup. And you got others like Imagination who put a really, really nice effort in last time out. And Banishing, who's won some nice races, but really no one's kind of gotten up to where Ben Tornado is in here. And the nice thing about him is a lot of his races, he makes his own really nice trip. Obviously, things that can concern is the post draw, stuff like that. But I think it's basically his race to lose at this point.
Ben Tornado, according to David Aragona, DRF, 5-2. I will say full disclosure. A few weeks ago, I put a bet on Ben Tornado and I got 4-1 overseas, and I'm ecstatic to get that in an anti-post bet. And I made a for me, a pretty sizable wager. So I'm happy to have 4-1 on Ben Tornado right now. Real quick, Paul, and we're going to move on. I'm just going to go to you, Paul. Carlos mentioned a horse I think is fascinating. How about Banishing? I mean, what an unbelievable horse. David Jacobson, Paul, said Banishing is best going 6. And he's actually, I look back at his PPs. He has run some good races actually sprinting. He's an incredible animal.
He is. He is 2 for 2 with 6 furlongs. It's hard to knock him. I won't be playing him on top in this race, but I have no issue with anyone who does it. It just seems like he was appreciably faster earlier in the year. He did run 100 at Charlestown around the 22 turns. But he last time was 1.1 miles, and I think it's safe to say that is very much not his best distance. I'm not sure why he would have put him in that race. Only David Jacobson knows what David Jacobson does, and I don't have enough. I have neither the time nor inclination to get inside his head.
I thought we were about to get a little movie reference there from Jack Nicholson. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know I was going with that, but anyway. But
it's a good race, though. I mean, Nakatomi on his best day, Straight No Chaser is the defending champ, Mulligan on his best day. That's what you got to kind of have to project here. Imagination ran absolutely huge last time. I think you're going to have to project someone to run his best race. I think Ben Tornado is very formidable. I think I like some of the other favorites more, but he's certainly a deserving favorite.
It's a 12-horse field, really fast animals. Speaking of some fast animals and a big field, but in this time, definitely a favorite. A lot of the guys on the West Coast, and why not? The Distaff. Unfortunately, we don't have Torpedo. We don't have Cavallari, who, according to Ryan Anderson, was going to win by 10 or whatever the hell he was thinking with that horse, who I thought would finish an overbet 4th. But anyway, she's not in the race. Seismic Beauty is very formidable, Noah. She's fast. She's got speed. It's Baffert. This field's been, reduced a little bit in talent. She could be a very likely winner on Saturday, a week from Saturday, if she runs her race.
Well, number one, looking at the field that we've got in front of us, I mean, where do you get some other contending speed? I know Scottish Lassie's pretty quick in her own right, but they didn't try at all to get the lead at Parks in the Cotillion, which is a little puzzling. I know Jinjin's got a little bit of speed, but that's primarily been at Keeneland and other races that Walsh has thrown her in. She's kind of settled right off the pace. So, I mean, from the list that we see, who's really going to go out and press her? And when they let her do her things a couple months ago at Del Mar, I mean, she put on a show, popped a 110 buyer. She gets a lead in here. I could see her doing something very, very similar. And this was one of the horses that we kind of talked about yesterday, where wherever they draw in terms of post position doesn't really matter, because she's just kind of the outright fastest horse of this race. And whether she's drawn inside or outside, I think it's going to be very, very easy for her to get comfortable early on.
Pete, Paul, and I are going to talk about this race in detail on Tuesday. I want to take a wild guess as of right now, who I believe is the only horse that could beat Seismic Beauty realistically on this list. I want to take a guess what I believe, in my opinion.
I think I know. Is it the third horse on the list?
It is not, but she would definitely be. Clicquot is definitely a reverse tri-key play for me, Paul, in this race. I can tell you that. No. Anyone else want to take a guess? I was like, no one cares.
Darth Vader.
It is Darth Vader. Pete,
Darth Vader's the one that feels like could sit the trip where is going to be the one. Darth Vader's going to probably have to do the dirty work of trying to get to Seismic Beauty first, hopefully, and maybe put a little bit of pressure on her. Not going to do it too early, but at least at the top of the lane, she's going to probably be the one that you hope gets there, especially if you have any of the horses behind them. Nitrogen's going to be coming from off. There's a Regale that's going to be coming from off. There's a few going to be coming from off. So you're going to need somebody to do something to Seismic Beauty, or she's just going to get away and run away from them.
On Friday, this is a good time to mention this. On Friday, as we get into some more of the Euros here, I have a live show with Davey Lane and Emmett Kennedy of Final Furlong Podcast in Ireland. This is one of our biggest shows of the year. You do not want to miss it. It's on our YouTube channel. It is 3:00 Eastern in the afternoon on Friday, so that we can have Davey and Emmett on live from Liverpool, England, and from Ireland. if you need information on the Euros, watch our show. You don't have to watch it live. We'd love it if you did. Watch our show live or replay this Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Myself and two excellent European experts. It's going to be an unbelievable show. Check it out. Speaking of good European horses, guys, the Breeders' Cup Turf. Oh, my. Oh, my. 14 horses. And, guys, I counted a legit 10 Euros. I think there's a good chance that 10 of the 14 horses in this race are going to be European-based. You see most of them on the screen. If you're not familiar with European racing, you better start paying attention or watch our shows or get some intel because, to be honest, none of the Americans have a shot in hell to win this race, although Gold Phoenix has outrun his odds a few times in finishing fourth. There are some serious runners here, Paul, including Mini Hawk, who finished a very close second in the ARC. You've got the Rebels Romance, who's just an unbelievable story for athlete trying to win his third. You've got Goliath. You got. I mean, Ethical Diamond is a bomb that I know that Davey Lane's a little bit interested in. Wimbledon Hawkeye's a name that some of us know who won at Kentucky Downs. This is the horse on top. By the way, I'm going to talk more about Amalok on Friday, who I'm really interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, this is a great race.
Yeah, it really is. You know, I mean, I think Rebels Romance is one of the coolest horses of our lifetime. May not necessarily be one of the best, although 20 for 29 ain't bad. But boy, you want to talk about not needing to take your racetrack with you. Going for his third, which would put him in Goldakova company, which is very rarefied air. I think Mini Hawk is really the intriguing horse in the race. Not only a 3-year-old, but a 3-year-old filly. And we'll talk more about this when we get to the handicapping, Howard. But one of the tried and true angles in this race is a horse coming out of the ARC that did not win the ARC. And this horse damn well near won it, but didn't win it. So I think that horse is really intriguing to me in this race. I don't think we necessarily were expecting her to land here.
Not necessarily. We were hoping to see Kalandagan, but Kalandagan is a French monster. Is actually going to the Japan Cup. But a lot of the really good Euros are here. And the only thing I'll say from a handicap standpoint, we're going to keep this moving, guys. I promise you guys we'll be done by 9. We might go a few minutes over. Is that a lot of these Euro really good runners, Noah, are not like deep closers. Like Mini Hawk is tactical. Rebels Romance is tactical. Amalok is tactical. So I'm not saying it's going to be a speed-laden race. I'm just simply saying a lot of these Euros don't seem to be compromised on paper because of their style.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, if it wasn't for the Classic, I think you could make a case that this is probably the best race on Saturday. Pete, what was the phrase you defining race?
Yeah, what was that? I don't know what that meant, but
this could be the defining race if the Classic wasn't considered, but it's definitely a great rendition. I will say it'd be a great story if Rebels Romance won this for the third time. I think this year is by far the best company that he's faced in his 2 wins. So he's gonna have to bring his A game.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit against him, not personally, just from a betting standpoint, because he's going to be second choice. And there are a lot of horses that can win this race. The turf race is just absolutely amazing, guys. The race of the since 1998, some people were saying, Paul, since that Classic.
Disagree.
With Awesome Again and etc. This race,
2007 guys, was pretty damn good.
Name some of the horses in the 2007 Classic.
Curlin, Street Sense, Hard Spun.
Yep.
To start with.
Over a very sloppy surface at Monmouth. Guys, this Classic is going to live up to exactly what we wanted. We hope the race will live up to the anticipation. I mean, look at this. I mean, literally every horse you'd want is running. There's almost no horse in here that is weak, except, oh boy, should we even get into the conversation? Well, I'll tell you, we're going to save the contrary thinking conversation, guys, for later next week. He's a rabbit. Let me just say one thing, because I know you guys all want to talk about it. We don't have the time tonight to talk about it. Rabbits have been entered in big races throughout the world for decades. I'm going to leave it at that. And if you want to complain about it, and as my tribesmen would say, kvetch about it and whine and moan, go ahead. I say just ignore the horse completely. He's a complete non-factor. Anyone that
Right.
puts any money on this on that horse is wasting money. He should be 5,000 to 1 in this race, and he's going to be being 45 to 1 or whatever he's going to be. Anyway, guys, it's a great race. I don't even know where to start, but Pete, all the big players are here.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The only thing from contrary thinking to button that up is the horse doesn't necessarily deserve to be in the race. That's the only
I
thing. Not
agree
even
with
the
you
rabbit problem, but it's
Yep.
more just this horse has done nothing to deserve to be in here. But yeah, otherwise every other horse could win. I mean, you'd be surprised about a few of them for sure. But from a talent standpoint, every other horse on paper, you could pretty much find a race that you could see if they repeat that gives them a shot at least to win it, where you wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't believe Antiquarian won this race. I mean, it would be really surprising, but I mean, that horse is improving, and you get a horse like Locked, whose best race is really good. It doesn't always show up.
Yeah.
So it's just a fantastic field. I mean, the names alone, if you take contrary thinking out, it's basically just the 10 or however number it is that you would want in this race.
Paul, let me ask you one question because you have so much intel behind the scenes on Sovereignty. We both know Junior pretty well. You know Mr. Mott, and you've obviously talked to him and Godolphin, etc. I'm just going to show his PPs. Name one, if you have any at all, one, even if it's minor, one concern that you would have for Pure Betting Sovereignty a week from Saturday.
Well, I guess it would be if he were too far behind on a speed favoring track. I think this horse has proven he can be tactical, though. That is not my concern, not 1%. But you asked me to name a potential concern, and that would be if I think it might be others' concerns. You know, Nick Tamaro, whose opinion I respect greatly, is concerned about Fiercest being on a lone lead. You know, that's changed with contrary thinking, but you know, anyway. As
I mean,
you said,
isn't the only concern, Paul, that you get that for your first time against elders, you're facing a pretty big crop of top-notch elders. So that's wouldn't that be the only concern? It's like, hey, you're not coming in against you're going against one or two decent ones. You're going against a pretty deep group of older horses. I guess that would be the only thing.
I think that's valid, Pete. But I think I'd be more concerned about that if this weren't a very good 3-year-old crop at the top.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a great crop on depth, but it's very, very good at the top. And I would take issue with us talking about these older horses. I think they're very good and very competitive with each other. I don't think there's one outstanding horse among them.
I agree with that, actually. Yeah, I agree. All right, we don't want to hold this up. We can get on to the next one.
Yeah, we have plenty of time to talk about. Sorry, Kyle. No, I can't interject you guys. You'll have thoughts on your shows, I'm sure. Breeders' Cup Mile. This is another real nice race. It's got 13 entered. It's going to have like 8 Euros. I mean, this is going to be 3/4 of the field, Noah, is probably going to be Euros. And I got to tell you, I know Formidable Man is out there in Johannes. There's definitely some California love. And Rhetorical on the East, I got to tell you, man, they're up against it. I don't know if there's I don't think there's a Euro superstar here, Noah, but there's a lot of really good Euros in this race.
Yeah, they're pretty good. And I feel like it starts with Notable Speech. I thought his run up at Woodbine in the mile was pretty impressive and looked like a pretty good prep to get him ready. And I think even last year, Aiden was quoted in saying that this was one of, if not the best that he's brought over. And a little disappointing to see him run third in that race. Maybe we're hoping for a bit of a better effort, but I feel like ever since they crossed the wire, they probably had a little bit of a salty taste in their mouth and been wanting to get back for a year. So I think he's going to come with his best run.
Well, no, if they have a salty taste in their mouth, is there a better place to be than by the ocean?
It'll get salty.
No, this is
Appleby, throw that out there.
Aiden, though.
Yeah, it's Appleby.
Kyle, quick thoughts, and then we'll move on from the mile. This is another fantastic race. I'll say off the top, I'm interested in some Euros in this race, and they're not at the top of the market. I'll leave it at that.
I agree with you, and we can save that for later. But
yeah,
I mean these 3 races in a row, the Turf, the Classic, and the Mile is it's probably the best 3-race stretch I've seen since I got into racing just in general. And it's fantastic. By the way, the Turf is the best race on the entire day. I said that to Howard before the show, and I'm so excited to watch that race. But I mean, this race is just unbelievable as well. I mean, even a horse like Program Trading, who's been, top of the US market, is way up against it in terms of European competition. So be very interested to see what we all think. But you got to tune in later this week to find out.
Matt Miller said Fiercest on the lead might be an eerie repeat of Nick's Go on the lead over a better 3-year-old, by the way, at the time, Essential Quality, who couldn't make up the ground. With all due respect to Matt, who's as sharp a better as there is, I think Sovereignty's better than Essential Quality, Paul, in my
Without
opinion.
question.
Yeah, but he makes a good point. The point is definitely taken. And I was actually I wasn't next to him when that race happened, but I was with him that weekend. And wow, what an incredible first Breeders' Cup for me to be at. Absolutely crazy as Matt Miller won the BC right there. All right, guys, let's go on. We got 2 more races to talk about.
Wait a minute. I thought the Classic was the last race. Oh, sorry.
Oh boy, here we go. Always stirring the pot. Always stirring the pot.
Line
the
them
dirt
up.
mile. The dirt mile is interesting, guys. I know there's a lot of love for Nysos, and why not, Noah? I'll let you speak about him. He's uber talented. There's also, Vankman wants to go to the sprint. Dry Powder is going to go to the distaff. Patriot Spear will be in the sprint. It's going to be like a field of 10. I know it's just simply to default to Nysos, but I don't know, man. This is an interesting race to me. I suppose if you like Nysos, there's no talking anyone off him, though.
Yeah, I think he'd be pretty price dependent for me. I could see 2 scenarios, one where he kind of blitzes this field and puts on a show, and another one where he doesn't show up at all, which honestly wouldn't really surprise me. And if you don't like him all that much, I feel like he's probably going to be a pretty low price on Saturday, I'd have to imagine. So I feel like horses, I know Mystic Dan was one that was, I thought, pretty impressive. I was there at Churchill Downs when he won. I thought that was a pretty good run. Full Serrato was the defending champ. He was a little disappointing in his prep last time, but I think that was just kind of to figure out how far he really wants to go. So if you're a little anti-Nysos, I think there are some good directions that you can go there.
What interests me, Pete, in this race, and then we're going to move on to the last one, is Baffert also a Citizen Bull. They're not going to bang heads. The directive is going to be one of you go, one of you sit. I'm curious to see which one. Maybe they actually want Citizen Bull to go to be a target for Nysos. I'm just curious to see how that dynamic plays out. Obviously, the post positions are going to matter a lot based on what they're going to do.
I think the best thing about Nysos watching him is that he rates. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the lead. I think the most impressive thing with him is he could just sit off, and he could sit close. He could sit a few off. He can close from a little bit further back. I think his versatility is unlike a lot of the Bafferts, who generally we think of as speed horses, and that's why I love this horse so much. I mean, you said Noah, he might not show up. The only thing could be if there's something injury related, because he always shows up. He's shown up for every race, and he's just awesome. But this feels like one of the better, I'd have to go back and look, but this feels like one of the deeper dirt mile fields. Usually we get a lot of reject kind of horses from the classic division, which we have some of those here, but they're actually good, and they're coming in here. And I think if it wasn't for Nysos, I think this would be a really fun betting race.
Simon brought up Curat, another horse, Kyle, that won at 100-1 overseas. Maybe he's from overseas, I'm not sure, but that would be quite the story. All right, guys. Last race of the day, Filly Mare Sprint, Filly Mare Turf, sorry. Noah is covering this on our Power Pick tip sheet. Noah, I'm going to let you talk first. I'm assuming you've already looked at this race. Minnie Hawk will be going to the turf. She is not going to be in this race. It's going to be a full field. There's going to be 5 or 6 really good Euros in here. And then there is an American who at least will get a lot of attention. I'm not going to give my opinion on her today. She feels pretty, by far the biggest USA turf name, maybe on the whole weekend.
Yeah, I'm actually covering the turf, not the Filly Mare Turf.
Oh, I apologize.
Talk about the race if you like.
It's Jackson. Jackson's doing the
Jackson?
turf.
Well, I'll speak in the place.
Go ahead.
Jackson.
Right.
I have a feeling the horse that you're talking about, She Feels Pretty, who they stretch her out to a mile and a quarter at Woodbine, and boy, it looked like she was getting ready to lay down. I mean, she was gasping for air, and then now they're going to try to go a mile and 3/8 out Del Mar, which is 3 turns, by the way. She's going to have her stamina boots on, because this is a pretty salty field. Just looking at the list, I know Minnie Hawk's probably going to be in the turf, but if she runs in this race, I mean, she's got as good a chance as anybody should probably be a good favorite in here. And then you've got a little bit of Appleby contention. I think this is probably the race that you could make a case that he's got the best chance to win. And I know there's going to be people playing a little contest called the BCBC, and if they're going to have a chance to win that, they're going to have to be right in here.
Hey, Paul, this is all Godolphin, baby, this race. I'm with you for once. It's all Godolphin. This is my favorite horse of the day, I think, in this race.
Who's that, Pete?
Diamond Rain.
Diamond Rain, yeah.
I love that horse.
She ran a Woodbine, right, last time?
Yep.
Yeah, she lost to She Feels Pretty, but I think the distance is going to be more her friend than maybe somebody like She Feels Pretty.
And you got Bedtime Story, the horse that I like
great
a
race,
lot.
though.
The horse I like a lot, I haven't mentioned yet. Wait till next week. You'll find out. I got to do a little more deep diving here. I totally agree with you, Noah. She Feels Free will be nowhere on any horizontals, on any BCB. I'm completely against her. Look, we beat her with excellent truth at Saratoga, myself and Patrick Kunzel and Ryan Mistretta. So, why would I bet her here in this race? I don't know who's the favorite here, Kyle, right now?
The favorite right now, besides Mini Hawk, is See the Fire.
And what are her odds?
4-1.
4?
Aragona. Aragona has She Feels Pretty, the favorite. If you take Mini Hawk out, 7-2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
And as much as it pains me to do it, Howard, I completely agree with you on She Feels Pretty. I probably will not have her anywhere, and that pains me to do it, but I do fully agree.
Guys, it's been an unbelievable show. We ran a few minutes late, but that's okay. We do have another show coming up, by the way, in 25 minutes. Myself, Pete, and Paul, our last show of great race plays that covers the Turf Pick 3 and the Late Pick 3 Saturday at San Anita. But it's been an incredible show. Our pre-entry thoughts. We have shows tomorrow. We have the European show on Friday. We got shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Please check out the HHH Racing Podcast. Hit that subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. Hit the notification bell. Smash the like button. And once again, please check out our Breeders' Cup Power Pick tip sheet. Go to our website. It is inexpensive. It's going to be very profitable. It's going to help you crush your bets on Breeders' Cup weekend. For Pete, Paul, Kyle, and Noah, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 434 of Picks and Ponies. Crush your bets. Breeders' Cup weekend in about 9 days. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.